So in this, 10-minute session, I'd like to introduce about the InnerSource community. So no, local community more specifically. So actually, InnerSource stories are everywhere. So you can find some case studies in your region, and it means InnerSource local community, or maybe the practitioners are also everywhere across the world. So we are collaborating to learn more and practice more on InnerSource and grow more. So actually, this is all about local community. But actually, InnerSource Commons and InnerSource community itself is, essentially global community. So it started in the United States, but in a OSCON in 2015. Actually, we our first summit is, including the private one, it started in 2015. But actually, for more public one, we started our global conference in 2016. So, and we did so many summits on in the United States, and then in addition to the United States, we had Switzerland, Germany, and Ireland and summit, and then yeah, probably some of you who join us today joined the InnerSource Summit this year in maybe in Yokohama, Berlin, or New York. And apart from InnerSource Summit, there is a specific program called InnerSource Gatherings. So InnerSource Gathering, the very first one was, initiated in Dublin, and then modeled after Dublin. Actually, we officially started the program in Tokyo, from Tokyo. And then actually in 2024, there are seven gatherings in Tokyo, Berlin, Vienna, Dublin, Shenzhen, Paris, and then Tokyo again. And in 2025, there are six gatherings. So Berlin, Paris, Tokyo twice, London, and Sao Paulo. So this is our community. And then actually you can also start your community. If you are interested in building your community, so please visit gatherings.innersourcecommons.org. You can find some records of the event, for instance, Inner Source Gathering, yes. So in the Inner Source Gathering page, there are event reports available for each gatherings. For instance, in Tokyo gatherings, there are so many speakers speak about shared some Inner Source case studies, right? So you can start your own community, or just you can start, if you are not interested in being a community leader, but you are still okay to, build some conferences or have some meetups in your region, of course. So yeah, then actually there are several types of event in this foundation. So the first one, probably the biggest one, is the summit. So it's the global conference, and then gatherings is a local conference. So actually, in between gatherings and community calls, there must be some local meetups, which is more smaller or mid-size meetups, which is not, what we call conference. However, you have flexibility to align your community or maybe align your market industry size, because typically some of the specifically more, smaller industry or maybe countries, its inner source term might be not that popular. So actually you can start small and then expand your community. So let me introduce some, cases about our community. So I'm the Japan community initiator. So actually I will share some uh, what happened in Japan. So I will switch my slide. So technically, Japanese community, has started in 2022. So our translation project has had been started from maybe 2020. However, when it comes to the community program perspective, our community has started in 2022. So in actually 2016, inner source, the term inner source is not that popular. It has just landed in Japan without any context. So, and then Yoshitake, who is the, translator of the InnerSource learning path, and also I started the, initial activities on InnerSource, on evangelizing InnerSource. And then actually there are several presentations from me and also other people. But actually in 2021, InnerSource, if you search on InnerSource in Japanese, actually it shows only inner soul, result. So, but actually we translated InnerSource patterns as the community effort. And then we did some online meetup because it's still, uh, I mean, there are some sense of, community is not that big, so actually we started to record some videos for InnerSource, and then we, as a community effort, we started to translate some books into Japanese, and then we try to, we did some edit on Wikipedia on InnerSource, so we uh, built some Japanese information. So in 2023, so something amazing happened. So out of blue, actually some company started to practice inner source. So it was a kind of amazing thing for me. So actually I didn't even realize that, but actually I found some blogs who writing about inner source. So and then actually in 2024 we did the first inner source gathering in Tokyo. So this is the story of InnerSource gathering, and then something more interesting happened. So I will stop share, and also actually I will start sharing again with sound. So this is InnerSource Hero. So probably you can feel enthusiasm by this music. So actually this is from KDDI, which is a telecommunication company. And then he created a song for InnerSource. So about readme.md and contributing.md, and to attract people to let them start InnerSource. So this is a brief introduction, and also there is another English version of the song. So you can also search InnerSource Man. So initially InnerSource Hero was called InnerSource Man. However, when it comes to the DEI, actually we renamed to InnerSource Hero. But anyways, so this is the enthusiasm of this, Japanese community. So there are other community available. So I only listed some active and also active InnerSource community programs for each, oh, sorry about that, for each region. So they are the point of contact. However, of course, there are so many community activities in Germany and then probably Thailand and other communities. So I haven't listed because when it comes to community program, local community program, so there are specific name available. So but actually if you can't find your name, or maybe if you can't find your regions in this list, of course there must be so many practitioners of InnerSource in your region. So we can probably connect you to the maybe point of contact, or maybe the leader in this in the region, or maybe potential practitioners of InnerSource. But yeah, feel free to ask us about the community and a local community. You can start your own community. And then again, if you are not interested in, leading community or having gatherings, you can still create your, regional Slack channel in InnerSource Commons Foundation, and then actually you can, of course, start translating your the resources of InnerSource, or you can just start blogging on InnerSource. But it's up to you. So we have flexibility on that, and if you have some ideas for your region, please ping us, and then please let us know about your idea. So your idea and your activity and your, opinion must be heard, and then actually we are looking forward to receiving it. So, and then more specifically, there are some style for gatherings. So there are three styles for gatherings: micro gatherings, and then community meetup, summit conference. So typically we call gatherings for when it comes to event program perspective. From event program perspective, we treat summit conference as a gatherings. However, yeah, you can freely start your micro gathering or micro meetup in your region, of course. Yep. So let's build InnerSource together in your region. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Bailey. I work over at Nike. I'm a principal engineer there. What I do is focus on an open source program office there, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. I probably won't be as exciting as Yuki, but see, more of a brass tacks type of person, and I like to get into the weeds of working on artifacts and guidance for InnerSource program offices, which I will introduce to you briefly here. So, if you're not familiar with an InnerSource program office, it's a lot like an open source program office, but it's focused on inner source. And what we do is we, in a intentional way, organize around building communities and stitching people together and pushing them toward building reusable and high impact software projects and sometimes documentation. There's no boundary there in terms of how you can contribute to an inner source program. And so in this group, what we do is we work together to build the content that will help you drive your inner source program office. Uh, so Russ Rutledge and Guilherme are trusted committers in there. We're all leaders that are pushing forward inner source program offices together. So if you need any help with any of that, then please DM any of us. I'm just signing them up right now for that because I think they'll be happy to help. There's a channel, a Slack channel that we join, and I'll show you more about that in a little while. And feel free to stop me at any moment if you have particular questions. I like to do interactive presentations instead of just talking a lot. So next here, what do? We build inner source resources together. So you may hear about patterns and practices from Russ or Sebastian if he shows up. There's another book that we kindly adopted called the Managing Inner Source Projects book, which helps you manage inner source projects within your inner source program. They can also be used on the side without an inner source program. There's people that have come in here that just are interested in inner source and have benefited from these materials. So the learning materials, we teach you how to do all those things. The inner source hero helps you mostly. So tools and templates, we build metrics. So there's goals, questions, and metrics. I'll show you a little while that we use to measure the value of inner source. As we know, the industry wants us to show value. And so how do we do that? We attend biweekly meetings. Highly encourage you to join those meetings. It's a good place to learn from other experts in the industry and bring your problems, bring your challenges, and I'll speak to that in a little while here. So how do you get involved? You join the Slack channel, ISPO working group in the InnerSource Commons. And I will show you our calendar in a little while where you can attend a meeting. You just add that to your calendar. And if you have a challenge, you are having difficulty getting people to adopt InnerSource in your company, then I encourage you to join the ISPO working group and learn how you can get past some of those hurdles. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the OSPO book. So I was working in the past with Yuki on this. We are planning on adding a chapter on the inner source program offices. So this is a good place to jump in directly to start learning about an OSPO and then as an extension, the ISPO. So you can take a look there. And the ISPO working group, this is again an overview. We have a inviting contributing MD here. So if you want to join that, go to that URL. You can learn how you can contribute. So you are going to come in propose your challenge to the ISPO working group, review some contributions. Maybe you see some contributions you have expertise on or you want to learn more about just by leaning in. And again, participate in the meetings. And we publish content to the Managing InnerSource Projects book and the InnerSource Patterns. And there's plenty of information on how to attend the meeting and our board, etc. And so there's another, there's a nice documented page here. If you don't like Markdown, you don't like poking around. And I want to show you a little bit about Russ here. So Russ has another presentation. So if you don't like my presentation, you can go look at Russ's presentation. I really like how he put it together. So there's a particular section where he says no two companies are the same, but not every company is wholly different either. And so if we work together in this community to meet our challenges and to build content for together in an open source fashion, then we all win. We all win in that scenario. And so I want to show you a little bit of the work products that we have here. So we have goals, questions, and metrics. So something we worked on. This is in the Managing InnerSource Projects book. Another thing we worked on, you'll see at the bottom here, is there's an integrated comment section. So you sign in with GitHub and you have questions about goals, questions, and metrics. You can jump in there and ask questions directly within the book. So as you're learning, you're going to get messages on that. Everyone in the community will see that. This is super helpful. There's a goals here. So you're trying to find InnerSource projects in your company. This is a challenge I had when I came in Nike. I was like, where are the InnerSource projects? Where are the projects I should use as a template to start building my first backend service, for example? That right there is high value in terms of understanding where your software is and where the reuse lies within your company. So that goal can be met through metrics. So who uses the InnerSource projects? You can count how many times a project is used across the enterprise and other details like where it's used, etc. So then the patterns, this one also speak to this, I hope, later, but patterns is where we contribute as well. And some of these key patterns are, for example, InnerSource before open source. This is something that we continually see come in our community. So we worked on some of this pattern here, trying to expand the value of it and eventually get it published in the book here on the left-hand nav to be able to get more information. So speaking quickly to, where is it? Trusted committer. This is a pattern we follow as well. We're drinking our own wine here. We are trying to make sure that we are using the patterns themselves as we work as a community in the InnerSource Commons. So this is another work product that we contributed to. It's a lot of times people are like, what is my playbook? How do I get from point A to point Z in my InnerSource program? This is a good place to come in and see how do I scale InnerSource at my company and get an overview. You can interactively click on these, expand details. If you go into some of these nodes, you'll see direct links to patterns, etc., that are applicable to the journey the part of the journey you're in within your InnerSource program office. And so this is how you can contribute. You can come to our board here. We have many challenges that we just talk about in this meeting typically, or it comes through Slack. Someone says, how do I do this? Or I'm having a challenge with that. Michaela has been focusing on creating an ISPO playbook. It's something
And
that
I have it pulled up if anybody wants to see it.
yeah, it's more of a micro jump into InnerSource. A lot of people get overwhelmed with the amount of information that comes through their company, and I completely empathize with that. We are all information overloaded today in the current age, so that's always welcome. Simplified ways of working, and so the calendar is where you can find details about the next meeting. So Today is the 4th. It looks like our next working group meeting is here. So you can just go into this calendar and go to copy my calendar and add yourself to the next meeting. There you go. And then the channel, there are bookmarks in the channel. You can see all the things that we just talked about here. So this is a really good place to just jump in and then ask questions. If you are in the channel, I do an ad here. I try not to do ad channel because I don't like to make people mad. We let everyone know that's online that there's another meeting coming up about 24 hours before the meeting. And it's a great way to just become part of the community itself. It's just to join the meeting, even just listen in, understand a little bit about what's going on in the InnerSource world. Highly recommend jumping in there. So with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Olive already introduced me a little bit before. I will introduce myself again and at some point in my talk here. First, so what was the mission that I was given today? Prepare a 10 minutes chat on these two topics, my role as the local InnerSource Summit lead for Berlin, and also what InnerSource and InnerSource Commons means to me. 3 slides were mentioned, but I guess that was not a formal constraint. I think that the time and the 10 minutes were the actual constraint, yeah. So because I went over 3 slides, yeah. Cannot do anything with 3 slides, I guess. I don't have that power. So first of all, about me, I joined at SAP in 2010 as a developer. Before that, I had already around 9 years of experience in software development, but a different realm. So I am a former developer. I don't develop software anymore, although I think I will always be a developer. It's kind of a state of mind, right? And I am a long-term open source enthusiast. I use the word enthusiast here because, to be honest, I don't have a lot of contributions, like source code contributions to open source. I have like one big one and some other small ones. But now I am involved more in communities around open source projects like this one and so on, and even with the topic of InnerSource. Talking about that, I have become an InnerSource officer at SAP. This is not like chief something or anything like that. It's just a job title. That means one of my main assignments is to spread the InnerSource culture at SAP, grow the awareness and grow the adoption of InnerSource at SAP, where I am also a member of the Open Source Program Office. That's actually my team since 2022. So about my role in the InnerSource Summit, as you know, we recently had this crazy idea of doing an event that runs across 3 different locations, hosted or co-hosted by 3 different companies. And I was the one that was responsible to make this happening in Berlin. And that is where it was hosted by SAP. So to describe a little bit about what does my role entail, I would say it's about making sure that everything happens well locally in my own sub-event, let's say. So things like helping select the talks and the speakers, helping let's say, ensure that we have a smooth check-in experience, that the speakers have a good experience, that they know what the conditions will be, that they know when to be where, and all that kind of stuff during the day. Also, the catering or all the details, like the technical things that have to happen at the event to ensure that the slides are showing up, that everything else is working. So all those things I was responsible for. Securing the venue, the budget, so all that. And on top of that, what we have to do, we're now to use a software engineering engineering term, I would say, is implement the right interfaces so that we could plug this local event into this global event. And that is stuff like ensuring that we use the same ticketing system as everybody, keeping in contact with the global event organization, that means Olive, all the time to be sure that things are on track, and be sure that we are broadcasting the right way, because this was a hybrid event that's broadcast all across the world, so people could join virtually and have a smooth experience as if it was one big event. And as part of that experience, we also had this idea that the events, they should not just coexist, but they should be connected to each other. So we did these handovers that we also had like on site. We saw what was happening in Yokohama, and then we said hello, and then they handed over the torch to us. And then after that, in the afternoon, we did the same for IBM. So these are the kind of interfaces that I am talking about. Yeah. So this was a very interesting experience, and I think it's important to say why did we do this, or personally, why did I want to do this, and why did I want SAP to host this event? So there are I think it's two main reasons. One, I wanted to give back to the community. I have been a member of InnerSource Commons for quite some time. I have been attending the events that we had until now virtually. I have participated on great on-site events and gatherings organized by other people, and I was feeling like I should do something like that too. Now it's my turn to get people to my home and welcome them and give them a good time. So this is something that I wanted to do. And I also wanted, then what's in for SAP, I wanted to strengthen the message that InnerSource is something that we want at SAP. That's very important. We have to constantly remind people, mainly our own people, that, hey, this is something that you can do. You should do, and you should prioritize this. So we wanted to send that message too. And of course, associate the brand of SAP with this topic of InnerSource that I consider so important in the tech community and, well, for the world, I would say. Yeah. And what were the results? This is a very nice picture that we took at the end of the event. It doesn't even show everybody who was there at this point in the event. Some people had already left, but I like this picture very much. It shows that everybody's having a great time there. And we did at the end have 11 presentations and many more presenters because we had many occasions where we had more than one presenter for each presentation. In one occasion, I think it was even 3 people doing a presentation together. We had 3 hours more or less of space for people to network, like at the check-in, at the breaks, at the lunch, and all that. And I think that went very well. I saw a lot of people interacting and talking to each other. And we did have an after event get together. That was also a great opportunity for people to network. So that's not part of those 3 hours, and not everybody was available to go there. But I think we had maybe around 30 to 40 people at the get together. Yeah. In total, we had 67 on-site attendees coming from 29 different organizations, and I think 26 more or less of those were SAP employees. So we also provided great content internally to our employees. And I like to say this, for me, it was like a great InnerSource party. After thinking a little bit, it felt like my InnerSource birthday, in terms of like having a party where everybody's coming to my home, and I have like this opportunity to receive all these nice people that I know from the community and engage with them, which is something that it's not so often that we can do that on site. And tons of positive feedback, which was also great. So the last part, what InnerSource Commons means to me and what InnerSource means to me, I think that's a very interesting question. To answer that, I think I have to say, like, what is my vision for the world? I would like to be able to live in a world where everything is open source. Yeah, not everybody shares that vision. It's a bit complicated, and I know that we will probably not going to get there easily. There's a lot of constraints and so on. So why not then aim for something a little bit easier? That is, what if we could live in a world that at least the things that cannot be open source were like if they were, but in a limited scope, like within the organizations that are handling those things. And this is inner source for me. Once I had the first experience more than 10 years ago where I contributed to a project. It was not my first contribution to another project, but it's the first that, looking back, felt like open source. Then everything where I could not do that became extremely frustrating because I knew another world was possible, one that empowered me to be the one participating in the solution of my own problems. So that is inner source for me. And what is InnerSource Commons? Where it's the place where it feels like an inner source home. Is this community? Is this great place of like-minded people that not necessarily share my vision that everything has to be open source, but they do share this other vision that whatever cannot be open source should be inner sourced. And that is where I feel the sense of belonging in this community, where I know I will find other people to collaborate with and to learn from and to share experiences. Yeah, with that, a little bit over 10 minutes. Let's build inner source together. And thank you, everybody, for hearing me out.
So I'll share my slides in a minute here. What I wanted to go over, so my role now is the executive director of the InnerSource Commons. And also I'm a very long time member of the InnerSource community. So what I wanted to share is a little bit of perspective from both of these roles, both thinking about the InnerSource and the InnerSource Commons Foundation worldwide, and what is our role? What are we trying to accomplish together? Where are things going? And then I also want to reflect a little bit and share some of the history from the beginnings of InnerSource and the InnerSource Commons until now. So I do have a few slides. It's way more than 3 slides. Let me share my screen here. Just a second. All right. And I'm going to just use, these are some slides that Yuki made. So some of them you can see already. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, let me try to reshare. Here it is. Okay. All right, so I'll go through some of these fast. Some of them you've seen before. It's really just a chance to put my memory to some talking points. So we're here in 2025 talking about InnerSource. Some of these I went over at the New York event. I won't go through in detail, but yeah, a little history. So InnerSource, the concept, at least as a term, started in the US in the year 2000 with Tim O'Reilly. The O'Reilly from O'Reilly Media was attempting to start a business actually around InnerSource consulting at the time. From there, things went dormant for a while until here the year 2015. Denise Cooper, who was the founder of InnerSource Commons, decided that she wanted to make InnerSource a worldwide movement. And the purpose was, and I heard a question about this earlier, was to teach more people how to do open source and open source development. And in these early years, 2015 and 2016, the InnerSource Commons started, and there were a few summits. I joined the worldwide InnerSource movement in 2017 at a summit that was happening in Chicago in the US. And that was where I got the chance to meet Denise for the first time. And a little bit about what InnerSource meant to me. I was working at Nike, where Jeff is located now. I think Jeff wasn't at the company yet, but he and I got the chance to meet there. I knew I was working at Nike, and without knowing it, I was doing InnerSource. I had an InnerSource project. I didn't call it InnerSource at the time, but it was around running continuous deployment of Nike's websites. We had like every website at the company on the same deployment pipeline, and everyone was doing InnerSource contributions to it. So I was looking for I realized the problems I'm solving, they weren't unique to me. And having the mindset of collaboration and sharing, I wanted to go out and find others that were trying to solve these same problems in their company. I thought I can't be the only one having these issues. I want to work together. And so I found the InnerSource Commons, which was really in its infancy, and had the chance to meet Denise there in 2017. And the whole thing I wanted to do, which I'm still trying to do today, is to collaborate as much as possible around how to run InnerSource in our organizations. As Jeff shared earlier, I started the ISPO working group. I think that was around 2020 or so, with the idea that we shouldn't all go and try to figure out how to do InnerSource at our own organizations. There should be some type of open source tooling, training, documentation that we can all create, all submit to some common location, and then all reuse within our companies. And so I got involved actually here 2020 in creating the InnerSource learning path that's on the website. I was the project leader, gathered an open source group of people, and we co-created the learning path together that we could all use within our companies. And it's really still the vision I have. We all need InnerSource. As Jeff shared, I put that presentation. Not all of our companies is different. We need a common place where we can come together and work on InnerSource. So really the InnerSource Commons to me was an open source location to do InnerSource. So we're open sourcing our InnerSource. Some tooling, but mostly open source documentation. And I remember in the early days here in 2017, 2018, it felt like worldwide there was only a handful of organizations that were doing InnerSource by name, and we all knew each other. It was a tight-knit group. And I remember kind of around 2018, getting into 2019, all of a sudden we started seeing people have blogs. I remember the first time I saw a blog that was on InnerSource that was from someone I've never met before. I've been working, I think, for 2 years and kind of aware of everyone that was talking about InnerSource. So seeing the way that started with a few US and European participants until now, just completely blows my mind. Let's see if we go forward here. I think Yuki talked about this, or not this one, the gatherings. I mean, I'd never seeing the way that things have come worldwide from where they started, where we had a close group in the US and Americas and everyone knew each other. It's amazing. All the Tokyo gatherings. There's a robust China InnerSource community. They're having a gathering next week, by the way, that is very highly attended by the most influential organizations and companies in China. Seeing that InnerSource hero in that video that Michaela called out is simply amazing to me to think of the worldwide community that we have today. So let me just go forward from here. So that's recognized from kind of the late 2010s, whereas this close group, things have really exploded as far as awareness of InnerSource. Here I'm familiar with a lot of these US centric touch points for InnerSource. I think just the global community is a great example of the growth. Also, the Gartner publication put InnerSource on the hype cycle for software engineering. Actually, in 2023, it was among the top trends for software engineering that was released at their Gartner London conference. InnerSource was at the top of the list. It's showing up here on the Gartner hype cycle for software engineering. Here 2 years ago was the last time they released this publicly. We've confirmed from contacts at Gartner that InnerSource continues to show up on the 2024, 2025 hype cycle, going up the peak of inflated expectations as people are seeing the challenges and opportunities with integrating into organization. There's like a crossing of this peak, and now where we're at, I think, with InnerSource worldwide is needing to get as fast as we can up this slope of enlightenment and to the plateau of productivity around InnerSource. And my vision, what I'd like to see is the InnerSource Commons is occupying a leading spot and being the hub where companies and organizations can work through the challenges that they have with InnerSource and publish those results publicly to help other companies to get through these challenges faster. I think later on I have a slide about a few of those. Let me go forward and see what's next here. Oh yeah. So the InnerSource Commons Foundation, I think this was shared before. A ton of companies and organizations, and now we've collected and shared stories about what's happening with InnerSource. The people, I think, is one of the strongest assets of the InnerSource Commons. Look at all these people that are just having a great time with InnerSource. They love InnerSource and they love being with each other. The InnerSource Commons has a concept of membership for community participants that are continually involved in moving InnerSource forward at a foundation level and across the world. And there's a wonderful tradition that just started on its own, where every time there's two members that are together, they take a picture and share it. So here's a few that I had access to from people in the Americas. This wasn't something we had to tell people to do, but people love being with each other so much that there's always a picture taken and shared. I think this watercolor from the Berlin Summit is an interesting aspect that captures how people feel about InnerSource and the InnerSource community. The fact that an attendee would decide to make a watercolor, I think expresses a depth of feeling and connection that's had in the InnerSource Commons throughout the world. As Guilherme said, the summit just in Berlin just gave a place where that could be reflected and expressed. So it's really an amazing community. Some tangible wins here. InnerSource showed up at the United Nations open source event happening last summer. I've been in touch with the organizers. They're having an InnerSource focus to part of the UN open source event in the upcoming year as well. More local to me, the US government passed a bill basically requiring InnerSource to happen within federal government. It's the Share It Act to mandate sharing between government organizations. So really they're reaching for InnerSource. So it's amazing to see these worldwide strides that are being taken. And there's probably stories like this in other parts of the world that I'm not quite as close and connected to. So really the community and InnerSource is in a strong position and reaching to expand even further. What I want to see, let me go ahead a little bit here because I think I'm running out of time. Our leadership, really what I want to see and what I think needs to happen for the benefits of InnerSource to reach across the world as soon as possible is for the InnerSource Commons to focus and maintain itself as the hub and central collaboration space for InnerSource knowledge. This works out as in the gatherings that Yuki talked about in the summit, in the publishing that we do, in the patterns and other books that Jeff talked about. I think that we need to have more written work and publishing because that can endure and become a part of AI knowledge on the internet. And we do this through building a strong, inclusive community. And in the InnerSource Commons, we work open source style to share knowledge about InnerSource. So let me go ahead because I'm getting started. So I think I'm running slower on time here. So we talked about how one way we do this is through working groups in the InnerSource Commons. There's some working groups that are active today. Jeff talked about the ISPO working group. A working group is a set of folks in the InnerSource Commons community that want to get together to tackle a common challenge or a common need, and hopefully to produce something that can be shared within the InnerSource Commons. The working groups have a dedicated Slack channel and a regular meeting series to meet, share knowledge, and work on publishing information about a specific topic. The working groups that are there is flexible. These are some working groups that are here today, but anyone who has an idea for a working group, please reach out to me. We'll see if there's a way, if your topic is not covered by an existing working group, to start a new one and collaborate with others in the industry around particular challenge or aspect of InnerSource. A few ideas. These I took from the Berlin Summit, where a working group or other publishing or collaboration is needed. The topic of transfer pricing, I've heard for several years. We still don't have anything published in the InnerSource Commons about this. I think these and the other topics are AI, also, of course, is the top of the list, is a good opportunity for the community to come together in future gathering summits and working groups to publish and share more information. We have to do it in order to continue to be the central hub and the central collaboration space for InnerSource knowledge in the industry. Let me see what else I have here. Yeah, a few other ideas. I think this is from the Berlin area as well that show topics that can be worked on in the InnerSource Commons. Let's see, we talked about the United Nations and Share It Act. A little bit about InnerSource and AI. This is where I think we have opportunity, and really we need to, as a community, to come together and lead in defining what does InnerSource mean and why is it relevant in the age of AI. I'll give my opinion, which I also shared at the summit, is that in the AI era, InnerSource is more relevant than ever. I've heard some people say like, well, maybe InnerSource isn't needed because generating code is easy and cheap. So it doesn't matter if there's duplicated work. But we're finding that's not true. First of all, AI is the ultimate InnerSource consumer, and everything that needs to be done to enable project discovery and contribution for a human is also needed for AI. Clear documentation, clear README. Also, AI code generation can do quick prototypes, but needs so much guidance. It's far easier for a company to encapsulate its best practices in InnerSource projects that are then shared and AI leverages instead of AI having to write everything in Scratch. And also, AI and code generation will lower the technical barrier to create new code. And increasingly, the difficult part of software development is team to team and person to person collaboration, which is a big part of what InnerSource is meant to solve, to break down those engineering silos. In the past, because code took longer to create, maybe it was okay or not as never, it's never okay, but not as damaging to have the collaboration between teams go slower. But as code generation becomes cheaper, the percentage impact of team to team and person to person bottlenecks will become a greater inhibitor to effective software development. So we can't afford to have our team to team silos continue. They will quickly become the limiting factor in company effectiveness, and all the InnerSource practices that break those down are more needed than ever. All right, I think I've got about 15 minutes here, so I want to stop. I know we're on the time. I see some things have shown up in the chat. I haven't looked at them yet, but I guess just in closing, I'll say the reason I'm here and the reason I actually just went and looked before this meeting at my application for executive director of the InnerSource Commons. And what I wrote there, I'll share with you about what InnerSource means to me. When I think about the world today and the problems that exist worldwide, I know there's so much in software that could help problems that are in the world and individuals that are in the world. And I believe there's more to do than as a worldwide and companies collective that we're able to do. And so InnerSource to me is a gift to give to the world to make everyone in it as effective as possible at helping each other with the software they're making. At the same time, like Guillerme, my background is in software development, and I know the ennobling power that comes from the ability and autonomy to work in an InnerSource manner. It's a gift that I've received, and I would be happy if I could spend the rest of my life working to give that to the world and all the engineers in it. It will always be, I guess, my tribe is the engineering and development population. And I know InnerSource is a gift to them. So I'd be happy if I could find the way to work on that for the rest of my life. And I know I have a home for that, and I'm glad to be here in the InnerSource Commons. All right, I'll stop.